are Ribs 2.0. If you are on the quest to make the best backyard ribs of your life, this video is for you. After doing it like this, I am not doing ribs any other way. So this recipe is dialed and it's so easy to follow along to. So whether you're just getting started into backyard barbecue, you can follow this step by step by step. Or if you're a seasoned pitmaster, this video will help correct one mistake we all get wrong. Now, if you're a seasoned pitmaster and you're like, I want to know the recipe, you can click on this timestamp and that will take you to the part where we're seasoning up the ribs. But if you're just getting into backyard barbecue, ribs can seem kind of daunting. Now, there's different kinds of ribs to look for and whatnot. So I'm going to teach you what to look for, how to set up your grill, and you are going to enjoy this recipe. So let's get started. When it comes to actually deciding on what rib to go with, and you go to either your butcher or the supermarket, you're going to see 3 racks of ribs. You're either going to see baby backs, you're going to see St. Louis style, or you're going to see spare ribs. Now, spare ribs are basically St. Louis, but it still has that ridge above it. And that's why you'll see St. Louis a little bit pricier than the spare ribs, because a butcher actually had to go in and make an additional cut. So if you want to save some money, you can go with the spare ribs and then cut off that little top section, or you can then just get St. Louis's, which is what I have here. Now, I would recommend when it comes to, well, what quality per se, if you have a local meat market, definitely check them out first. They're going to have beef and pork there, and usually their ribs are going to come from a local farm, and the quality is just going to be that much better. Just looking at the rib, it has a lot of intermuscular fat. If you want to look down over here, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. So see all these lines in here? That is a very good indicator that once these ribs are done, it's just going to be very nice and juicy. And so the thicker you can get this rack, the better. And so I'm looking right here. This is your front side of the rib. This is your back. If your ribs kind of have this ridge line here, you can go in and just trim this part up. You really want these ribs to lay flat and whatnot. So depending on how big that is, you can remove that there. If you have an end that's pretty much coming out here, that's very, very, floppy and very light, you can kind of just trim these up and just make them more uniform. That helps a lot. On the front here, I don't really see a need to do much trimming. If you do want, for this one part in here, there is a little excess fat on here. You can come through, and again, you don't want to go too far, but there is some fat that is on top of here. You can scale that back a little bit, or you could leave it. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. But one thing that is kind of crucial, looking at the back here, this right here is your membrane. You're going to find where the bone is, and I'm going to just slide in underneath the membrane, and you can pretty much just work it. And if you can get all the way to the other side, great. And I'm kind of just trying to pull up a little bit in here, and that's going to help see how the membrane is now separating from, and I can kind of get underneath it. So what I'm trying to do is lift it up as much as I can, and then I can come in here, and I try to get my fingers as far up in as I can, so then I can hold down on the rib, and then I can pretty much pull up, and that takes the majority of that membrane off. Another trick that you can do, if you take a paper towel, that has a really good grip on that membrane, and then you can pretty much come in here and then rip the rest of it off. If it's still not coming off after that, what you can do is you can just come in here and lightly score any sections that are giving you a lot of problems. Now, before you actually season your ribs, you can use a binder. What a binder is literally putting something down that helps the rub adhere to the rib. So some people use mustard, some people use Who's Your Sister sauce, and there's some people that don't use binders at all. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our W sauce. I'm just going to pour a little bit on, just like that. And then with my other hand, I can just come in here and then just kind of start massaging that into the rib. Now, this is what is going to shock you when it comes to actually what rub to use, you can use any all-purpose rub that you have in your pantry. If you don't have any rubs and you're like, I'm just starting out, and you're like, I want to try this recipe, it can go as simple as just have 1 part black pepper and 1 part salt, and that's it. You can basically keep it simple. One of the mistakes pitmasters make is sometimes we have the issue of doing so many tricks to it that we overcomplicate it, and we end up realizing that, dude, barbecue is simple, that it's just low and slow, and it's just keep it simple, and the meat will really speak for itself. But a lot of times we're like, oh, first layer, second layer, third layer, and you're just doing all this stuff. You're tasting the rubs and you're not tasting the meat. So I'm going to be using my all-purpose. This is my MRE. This is the meat rub for everything. And we are going to get these coated. I like starting on the backside first. Now, the seasoning process, you're going to want to do about 30 to 45 minutes before they even get on the smoker. You want a lot of that salt that's in there to start actually getting into the rib, and that's just going to help just give a lot of flavor and make them very, very tender. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let these sit. They can be at room temperature, and now let's prep the smoker. Now, this recipe will work on any smoker that you have, as long as you follow the temperatures that I'm going to kind of guide you through. Now, today in this video, I'm going to walk you through on a pellet smoker, but if you have an electric smoker, offset smoker, whatever it has, as long as you can kind of hit these temperature ranges that we're going to go through, then you're going to be fine. So right now I'm going to show you how I'm going to set up. This is my Pit Boss Pro Series. So I have multiple racks in here. So I'm going to take off this top grate right here. I'm going to be putting the rack of ribs on this top grate. And so for this bottom grate right here, I have, this is just an aluminum tray. This is what I'm going to put water in. So the water in this pan is going to help for a few things. One, it's going to collect any drippings from the ribs, but it's also going to help stabilize the temperature inside the smoker. And then lastly, it is going to, once it kind of starts steaming, it's going to help the smoke adhere to the ribs. Now, if you are using a pellet smoker, I highly recommend also using a smoke tube. I have here some mesquite pellets. These are by Smoky Woods, and I definitely recommend using a very hardwood, mesquite, hickory, oak. I found mesquite to be the strongest. All right, so we got these kind of pretty much filled to the brim right here. I'm just going to lay it right off to the side right here. Some are going to spill out. It's okay, but pretty much that is how we are going to set up the smoke tube. So in my hopper, I do have mesquite in here as well. I'm going to set the temp. It's already set to 180, and I'm just going to leave it there just like that. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Whew. And I'm just going to start lighting this end of the pellets. Probably want to do this for maybe about 15 seconds or so. All right, so now blow it out, and you just want to make sure the fire's out, but now you're going to have a ton of smoke. So now I'm just going to close this down, and we're going to let that smoke tube do its thing. All right, I have the smoker up to temp here. If you want to look at these ribs, we have, it's almost like there's like this wet look onto the rib, which is a very nice thing. So now let's get these onto the smoker. So I'm going to get these on. I'm going to place them above the water pan. The thicker side of the ribs, I'm going to face more to this side of the grill. I know that more heat is going to come around this way. And so if your ribs are, thinner part is going to be to this side, but also I'm going to scrunch them up just as much as I can, just like that. All right. Now what I'm going to do is close her down. And so now I'm just gonna let the ribs bathe in smoke for 2 hours at 180 degrees. The easy part right now is we don't have to do a single thing to these ribs. Just let them bathe in smoke for 2 hours at 180 degrees. And then we are going to spritz them down. And right now we can make that spritz. For the spritz here, we are going to be incorporating 1 part apple cider vinegar and 1 part water. I learned this trick from Miss Tootsie from Snow's BBQ, and her trick to getting her pork just so tender was vinegar. And I'm going to put in some apple cider vinegar. And then I'm going to then come in with water. Just give that a little shake. This spritz is pretty much ready for those ribs. And in about 2 hours, we'll do our first spritzing. So we'll see you guys back in 2 hours. All right, guys, it's been 2 hours. And now it is time for our spritz. I'm just gonna spritz these down. All right, there we go. Now I'm gonna turn the temp up to 20 degrees. We are gonna let those ribs run for 1 hour at 200 degrees. You do not want to miss spritzing them down. Spritzing them down does 2 things. It rehydrates the rib, and that vinegar is gonna help kind of just break down that meat and make it very, very tender. We will check on these ribs in about 1 hour. All right, it's been another hour. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this up. I'm gonna flip it just like that. I'm just gonna spritz this down. Very good. Beautiful. I'm gonna take the temp and turn it to 220, and we'll give it another hour at 220 degrees. We're just shy of an hour, but before I pull those ribs, I'm going to wrap them, and we're going to do a butter, brown sugar, and honey wrap. So I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. Got my butter right here, and I like putting the butter upright, and then I have this butter cutter. I'll put the link of it in the description so you can check it out on Amazon, but this thing makes these awesome long slices of butter. Super, super easy. A lot of the comp guys will use that. So now that we got our butter like that, I'm gonna get out our aluminum foil, and I'm gonna get down about maybe 2.5, just like that. Then I'm gonna come in with some honey. You can use whatever honey you want. This I actually got from a friend, Castle Hives. He has a fun, cool YouTube channel. Check his channel out. And then now we're gonna put down some brown sugar. All right, here's what we are looking like right now. I'm gonna spritz. This is again our apple cider vinegar spritz. Now I'm gonna put this meat side down. So basically the bones on the back, they're gonna be sticking, facing up towards you. Give them a very good spritz. Now I'm gonna take our butter, put that on, take our honey, and take our brown sugar, coat that on. Now we are gonna wrap this up. We're gonna get this back on the smoker. I'm gonna put the thicker end more on this side. We're gonna close her up. And now we're gonna go up another 20 degrees. All right, we'll let these bathe in smoke for another hour. And I feel like this is the home stretch part. Right when we unwrap them, they are gonna look beautiful. Got a little bit more to do to them, but trust me, this might seem like a long process, but it is worth every bit of it. I've tried shortcutting some of this and you do not get the same result. So low and slow, trust the process, keep it simple. See you in an hour. All right, now it's time to talk about the final barbecue glaze. You want to make sure that this sauce is very light and easy to kind of brush onto the ribs. If it's very thick and hard to brush on, you can add some Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, and that will help thin out the barbecue sauce and make it easy to spread. We just want a very, very light sauce. I have some barbecue sauce right here. This was made by my friend Chef Johnny. The other day, we actually did a video over at his house, and he's like, hey, I made some barbecue sauce. So I'm interested to try it out. All right, let's take a look. Oh man, the smell is amazing. That is a beautiful thing. We are going to bring this, flip this around, and again, it's very light. We're just gonna get it onto these ribs. All right, let's get these back onto the smoker. Okay, we're gonna get these back on, just like that. We're gonna go from 240 to 260. We got 20 more minutes to go. We're at 260 degrees. We just want that barbecue sauce just to tack up, and then we're gonna pull them, let them rest, and then we will carve in and be in rib nirvana. See you then, my friends. All right, moment of truth. It's been 20 minutes. Oh man, look at that. Oh, look at that. Here they are. Man, oh man, do these look beautiful. I'm going to put this back in our au jus, and we are just going to let these rest for 20 minutes. And we will carve in. These are going to be so, so good. And now, my favorite part, the taste test. Now, one mistake I absolutely hate when cutting ribs is you go to like think where the bone is and you're cutting in, and then it's like it like stops the cut, and then you have to reposition. It just looks like a messy cut. So to fix that, what I like doing is pretty much going from the back side, and I have a clearer view of kind of the angle of where these ribs are going, and then I can come in and just make these clean cuts because I can see the bone better, as opposed to coming in and then trying to cut this from the front side. Look at that smoke ring. Tell you what, these are going to be hard to beat. All right, bon appetit. The smoke presence on this is just so, it's there. It's not overpowering, but it is delicious. It's going to be hard to share these with the family right now. I'll tell you what, if you do give these a try, let me know in the comment section. I would love to get your feedback. I really do think this could actually change the barbecue space on how we approach ribs. Try it out. This is so much better than 3-2-1. This is so much better than 2-2-1 and all those other. I've done the injections, I've done in comp style, but something about just this low and slow. Ribs 2.0. Check it out, try it out. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Grill Sergeant out.